Wherever you may be, however you may be listening, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI Podcast with Richie Bradshaw. I am Donnie Druin. Before we get into the nitty gritty, go to comment, subscribe to the channel. All the support is definitely appreciated. Follow Richie on Twitter at RichieBrads36. Follow me on Twitter at Donnie Druin. And Richie, it was a interesting game to say the least for the Arizona Cardinals. A 1-point loss to the San Francisco 49ers on the road, the first blemish of the 2025 season comes on the road for Arizona. But before we get into it, how are you, my guy?
Tony, I'm good. Weather's starting to cool down, and it's a great way to stay in shape.
As soon as you paused, as soon as you hesitated, I'm like, he's gonna do it. He's definitely gonna do it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hank Hill got here early. Hank Hill
Give me that
camped out for
propane, baby. Yeah, he did.
Propane. It's always a great day when Hank Hill is in the chat. We will get to the James Conner news a little bit towards more of the end of the episode. We're going to recap the 49ers epi. We're going to recap the 49ers game, and then we'll get into James Conner's injury and some post-game comments made by Jonathan Gannon that has everybody stirred back. The Constitution one says must win Thursday. I don't know if I'm ready to put the must win tag on it, but it's a big game nonetheless. Our guy Brian, shout out to you, my man. He did make a few minutes for him. He tweeted back at us whenever I tweeted out the link to this on Twitter. Said, he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it. So shout out to you. The Daniel Sword. That is the coolest shirt I have seen Richie wear, to be honest. Yep.
Well, Manny the Dinosaur bought it, so.
Well, I was going to say, whoever bought that
for
you has great taste for sure. Steve causing a ruckus in the chat already. Fire Pepsi, copy and paste.
Still the best profile picture out there, besides my man who had was it his daughter was wearing the Darth Vader mask, right?
Yeah. I hope because you saw the comment at the end of that episode. Yeah.
There's Darth Vader.
I saw Bo at the facility last week, and he was like, "Hey, did you say something to piss him off at the end of your guys' episode?" Because our guy Darth Vader went to PHNX chat and basically called me uncultured, which I am. It's just like stirring the pot.
You deserve that.
I do deserve it. Eric says the Drew changes game plan after Connor was injured. We'll talk about it a little bit more. I do think that forced the Cardinals to be a little bit more vertical in terms of what they wanted to do. I'm so intrigued to see what they come out with on Thursday night. Short week. There's not a lot of time to install a whole bunch of stuff. So you're going to have to go with your bread and butter, which is the Arizona Cardinals calling card in terms of running the football. But we'll see how that goes with Trey Benson. TD, Tyler Drake, one of the best to do it in Arizona Cardinals media market. And then people are having to buy Richie shirts now. LMAO.
You want me to drop my GoFundMe, man? I mean, if you want to buy me a new closet, you can buy me a new closet. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Brian says, our bread and butter is moldy, Donnie. It is. And let's get into that. What a great segue. Thank you, Brian. The Arizona Cardinals offense sputters again. You know that Brian Kelly meme where it's like, we're sitting butts talking again? That's exactly how I felt about the Cardinals, because another day, another dollar short in terms of running the football. Under 4 yards per carry. Trey Benson, leading rusher, 10 attempts, 42 yards. Kyler Murray, 37 yards on 6 attempts. James Conner, before he went out, a lovely 2.4 yards per carry. And not to touch too much on James Conner right now, because we're going to talk about him in a little bit, Richie. Before his injury, he's the heart and soul of the offense. He's the team captain. I cannot sit here and say that he was having a great start to the year. I can't.
No. He definitely looked sluggish and bullish, but to the defense of James, the whole run game has. This was one of the games that we took a look at going into the week, and we were like, yeah, you got to figure out the run game. It's week 3. This is a division matchup, which is going to matter a lot towards the end of the year. You needed to be able to win the game. You needed to be able to win the game based off of the perceived biggest strength of the team, which has been running the football for as long as we've talked about the team this offseason.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. And it's really frustrating that it still is being such a big weakness. And now you're losing the bell cow of the offense. And again, I understand he hasn't looked great out the start. No one has. Look at that. Trey Benson, 4.2 yards per carry. Wow, that's great. Donnie, let's play a game. Take away his longest carry of 29 yards. That is 9 carries for, I'm not a math magician, 13.
I dropped out of community college. You're looking to
It
wrong guy
is,
for that.
I went to Arizona State, so it's not like I'm doing much better.
Flips it,
What's
baby.
up, baby? 3-1. Let's get the thing going. Yeah, that's barely 1 yard per carry. So it's not great, man. It's really frustrating that this continues to be an issue. And now you've lost your best, most consistent runner that you've had over the last 5 seasons. So
Nope.
it's
Agreed.
just going to make things that much more difficult.
Agree. And when I say James Conner hasn't had the start everybody wanted him to, I don't
speaking
mean like
facts.
that's like a James Conner problem.
No,
Because
but
the offensive line and more so like the guard play, the interior
Mhm.
guard play of Evan Brown and Isaiah Adams has left so much to be desired on that aspect. And anybody running the football, Trey Benson, James Conner, it doesn't matter who it is. There's just not a lot of popping. And Richie, I do like how you brought up the whole like divisional aspect of things, because in those NFC West matchups, it's a little bit more about execution, just because the two teams know each other so well. Obviously, there's going to be different wrinkles and game plans and stuff, but like those divisional games are so tough because it boils down to who can do their job better because you know each other so
right.
well. And for a good
Can I
portion of
add
the
real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Onto talking about the divisional games. I threw this in one of my recent articles. One of my articles recently. If you missed it, I'll just let you know. This divisional matchup was almost a little more important because both teams are banged up with injuries. And with the 49ers getting the edge there, the next time you guys meet, there's a chance that the 49ers are at full strength or the Cardinals are at full strength. And you really would have liked to have had that win against a banged up team because your odds of winning the next game potentially, bless you, Harley Quinn, are much more difficult.
Bless you, Harley.
Like you got to get those wins when teams are down, and they weren't able to do that. So that's a huge advantage for the 49ers that they got an ugly win, because good teams win, great teams win ugly. I'm not saying the Niners are great, but that's a great win for them over
It
the
was,
Cardinals, who are proving to be potentially a playoff contender with ugly football, but winning games. They're still 2-1.
I was gonna say she might be ugly, but she's still at the dance. So that is what matters. I think the chat really
Wins are
quick.
wins,
Darth
man.
Vader says, "Yep." How much blame actually goes on Drew Petzing? You got to figure a lot of it, but we could talk about that a little bit later because Jonathan Gannon made an interesting post game comment that got all of the Red Sea stirred up. Autopilot, and I think I was having like an out of body experience because this is the exact same profile picture as my man Steve. Autopilot says we find new ways to shoot ourselves in the foot week by week. Your creativity is impressive. This is the Arizona Cardinals Football Club, my man. Something. And then to Eric's point, James was fine. It's the O-line not making holes. Exactly. And the 49ers have a tough front. What was disappointing was Kelvin Beachum in place of Paris Johnson, I thought played fine. And Nick Bosa goes out. They lose one of their best players in their front seven, and you're really hoping they can take advantage of that. And it just doesn't happen. Brian says, I think Drew has to get much more blame because when they needed to get a touchdown, the play calling magically changed. Autopilot says, why is the football visible in the graphic? Richie, I was making this graphic, and I have a software to where I can move players from one point of the picture to another. And I noticed that because I moved Kyler from the middle to the end so I could put the
And it
stat
just didn't take
graphic
the
up.
football with them.
Yeah, it just didn't take the football with them. And I'm like, nobody's going to know. Like, nobody's going to be actually looking. Silly little old me, because Autopilot has that back. Darth Vader says, bring Miho back. I do think Miho's coming back.
Miho!
I do think Miho, upon first opportunity,
He was
given how
questionable.
Isaiah Adams has played, he has practiced the last 3 weeks. I think with the current state of the offensive line, unless Isaiah Adams has like a great turnaround game, or even so, like they might be tempted. I think you might have brought this up, Richie. They might be tempted to slide him in at left guard depending on how Evan Brown plays too. Thursday is going to be
A mess.
so big. So big. It's not big in terms of the overall win and loss schedule and how the things are going to pan out for the Cardinals, but it's so big on figuring out what the Cardinals can and can't do, because like win or loss, you're going to have a lot of time between then and their next game, week 5 against the Tennessee Titans, to really figure things out. Brian says, can we stop taking away plays? We're playing one-way hypotheticals. Otto says, maybe that's why guys can't catch it. They can't see the ball. A lot of drops, Richie. A lot of drops yesterday.
I only saw 2 or 3 because after that I just closed my eyes and was ignoring them.
Yeah, there was the DiMarcano drop near the goal. the
I don't
Marvin
remember
Harrison
that one.
Jr. drop.
I'm pretty sure I was on my 3rd Dr. Pepper by then. I was like, I'm not doing this, man.
Hey, DP is from me, my man. Mr. Fat Gangster says, "Pet's a dumpster tire." I think it means Drew Petting is a dumpster fire.
Is that
what?
Is that supposed to be?
Is that Roger?
Roger?
American Dad? I think it might be. Given the sassy like hand on hip next to him, I think that might be like a little Roger.
Okay, jack-offs.
We ate all the pecan sandies. Classy Nasty says, "Do something, Donnie. Don't just sit there." I'm trying, brother. I'm trying. I can only do so much. Me and Richie can only do so much.
Give the rocket pop a second, okay?
Calvin Beecham also had a bad PFF grade in 2 penalties. Pets outclassed as a play caller. Bed off as a position coach for RB or TE. I'm the Diaz. I think that's his name. Thursday is a must-win. Got to win these division games. Yep. Eric, why did we lose this game? Give us your singular top reason. Execution.
Yeah.
And I'll stop yapping because I feel like I've talked nonstop. When
on
it
a
boils
podcast?
down to it,
how dare you?
I know. When it boils down to it, the 49ers made plays and the Cardinals didn't. The Cardinals had ample opportunity to make plays and secure the ball game. Whether it be DiMarcano getting in the end zone instead of settling for 3, whether it be Zay Jones. If Zay Jones holds on to the football, we're talking about a 3-0 Arizona Cardinals football team. But
yeah,
hypotheticals, man. Go ahead. Take it away.
No, I don't have much to add right now. I just that Zay Jones one's killed me.
Yeah, and he's gotten some flack about not coming down with the ball. And like, I understand, like it was maybe a little bit behind him. But Zay Jones is proven to be a very consistent and like he's proven to be a guy who can come down with that football. And I think if you talk to Zay Jones, who was not made available by Carl's Media Relations yesterday, if you talk to Zay Jones, he would tell you he needs to come down with that ball. Kyler on the other end of it will say, I need to throw that a little bit better. That's just the ownership part of it. But I think if Zay Jones hangs on to that ball, we're talking about a very different angle in terms of evaluating this game.
I have a very bad habit, Donnie, of when I see a receiver not able to make a catch, 90 out of 100 times I point to the receiver. And it's a bad habit because my logic is, looks like I hit you in 2 hands. Should be able to catch it. And there is a lot more that goes on than just a ball hitting your 2 hands because not every throw is made equal. And just because it's in that area code doesn't mean that it's as easily catchable a ball as other passes are. And I think that is something that needs to be a little credited to Zay there, is maybe that's not the ball that he was thinking or hoping it was going to be. But at the end of the day, and that's really where I get guilty with saying this, you're in the NFL, you're making millions of dollars. If you have a chance to haul that ball in, you gotta pull that in, man. So I get it. I'm not trying to be a certified hater when it comes to receivers dropping the football. That's just where I go a lot of times. So when I hear fans that are putting the blame on Zay, I know that I'm right there with them more often than not. But it could have been a better throw. It could have been a better play design. It could have been better execution, as a famous Donathan Druin once put it.
Did I say that?
I think you did. I think you did say the word execution was the reason why they lost this game.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was going to say that sounds smart, and I don't say smart.
Philosophical, even.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Rogers tumor. Ragu.
I was thinking Rogu.
Milena Mao, Seattle is next. Win or lose. I don't.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Without looking too deep, I think they lose. I think the Cardinals lose again. I think they sit at 2-2 after Thursday Night Football. Kyle Odegaard put out a tweet that said Seattle is the number one team according to DVOA after Week 3. They just rolled over the Saints.
The way that the Cardinals and the Niners didn't, by the way.
That is fair. To be fair, they were on the road, and like New Orleans is a bit of a tougher place to play than people want to give them credit for. Like, granted, like the actual team is hit or miss depending on the week when you get them. New Orleans is tough, man. It really, really is.
Turns out Sam Darnold is not trash, and maybe he turned it around.
Jury's still
and Jackson Smith and Jigba is him.
Big Bird 92 says consistently heard how Rallis coached above his player's skill level, now performing well with talent. Is the organization not grading Petzing on the same curve? He has a long leash. And then Big Bird also adds under 300 yards total offense for his first 3 games is barf, and I would agree with that. I would certainly agree. And like, just a tiny nuance to this, Richie. The new kickoff rules just naturally are going to shrink the amount of yardage teams and guys have on like a game-to-game basis, but not to the point where your offense is just struggling to pick them up on a consistent basis. That being said, I think you see the different levels of just ability between a guy like Nick Rallis, who is going to be a head coach in this National Football League sooner rather than later, and a guy like Drew Petzing. And we talk a lot about how the defensive side of the ball was boosted and upgraded over the offseason through free agency and the NFL draft. The offense really wasn't touched. And that was a point that both you and I made throughout the entire process was if you are going to roll into 2025, banking on continuity and the power of friendship, you better be confident. You better be 99% sure this is going to work. And Richie,
you better be the 2023 Arizona Diamondbacks, man. If you are going to bank on winning with the power of friendship.
It hasn't worked. It's still very, very early in the year, but everything we have seen, everything we can talk about to this point, it hasn't worked. And eventually, at some point, you're going to have to lock yourself in a room with Drew Petzing, Kyler Murray, and Jonathan Gannon and figure it that you know what out. Because this is supposed to be a playoff team, Richie. I don't think heads roll if they miss the postseason. But if they do not make the playoffs, I think there's a lot of conversations that's got to happen. And I think somebody's got to go. And I think everybody in the desert at this point in time knows exactly who the first person to go is.
Kyler Murray.
No, sir.
Anyways, no, not at all.
I know.
Not. Is he even top 3 right now? Because he certainly is not playing horrible.
Who?
He's
Kyler?
doing enough. Kyler, yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Is he one of the 3 biggest problems with this team right now?
No.
I don't think so either.
No, I don't think so either. Moving our way through the chat, I do want to talk about Kyler here in a moment. Autopilot says, Donnie, when your name pops up in front of you, your shirt looks like a Jester shirt. Hey, wait, there we go. Barca, baby.
Where in the United States is that?
It's in Spain, brother. And if you're gonna look me in straight face and ask me if I let 11 grown men running around and kicking a soccer ball in Spain who have no idea I exist determine my mood a couple times per week, you were absolutely right.
Brother, I let 18, 19, and 20-year-old kids decide whether or not my Saturday is going to be amazing or if I'm going to be drinking a 9th Dr. Pepper.
Forks up, baby. Speaking of forks up, our good friend Alex D'Agostino from Peach and X says the Seahawks are built to counter the Cardinals and making adjustments. Taking what the defense is giving you is simply not the philosophy of this team. That's an extremely, extremely good point. Big Bird with a great point here says we can't even claim to be a run-first team when we can't run the ball.
Thank you. Yep.
Alex's pause, Richie. Dan knows ball in the chat. Shout
Dan knows ball. Have we seen Dan knows ball and Dan Lanning in the same room at the same time? I don't know that we have.
No, sir. I do want to talk about Kyler Murray, and we'll flip over to the defensive side of the ball. Kyler's not the problem.
Not yet.
Can Kyler play a little bit better? Absolutely. Are there things he needs to be better at? 100%. Is he blameless in what's kind of transpired offensively? Not at all. But in totality, when you evaluate the past 3 weeks in his overall body of work, there are far bigger problems than Kyler Murray. Far bigger ones.
Yeah. There's a lot that needs to get figured out right now with the Cardinals. And I really don't think that Kyler is one of them. And this podcast has defended Kyler before.
Mm-hmm.
And this podcast has gone after Kyler before.
Richie, I remember after the season finale, we sat on this podcast, and both you and I have been very pro Kyler for a good majority.
A long time.
After they stumbled to end the 2024 season like they did, I remember sitting on this very podcast in this exact same room saying, you know what? Like, there's been so much talk about Kyler. Let's talk about it. Like, I am ready to sit down and have these conversations about Kyler Murray. I fully walked into this year with an open mind in terms of what his future looked like post 2025 with the Cardinals. So far, so good from him on my end. Can he be better? Yeah. Does he need to be better? Probably a little bit. Is he the problem? No, not right now.
Through 3 games, no, he's not the problem. Like we said, there's a lot of problems with this team. He is not in the 3 biggest problems of this team right now.
Yep.
I know a lot of Cardinal fans are still ready to move on, and I'm not saying you're wrong, because I'm still there with you of like, yeah, it's probably time to just spread your wings and figure something else out. But unfortunately, with the way that Kyler's playing right now, it's not justifying bending over backwards to try and make some kind of move work.
I'd agree, Mr. Fat Gangster. Offensive philosophy is the biggest concern. JJ doubling down on that is concerning. I'm hoping that was just him having his guys back publicly. I think it was. I seem to be in the minority of that opinion. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Amadia says, Kyler stepped up when we needed him to, especially in that Niners game. You could tell he was locked in after we lost JC. Sad players dropped balls, and I think that is a wonderful transition to talk about the receivers. And the top name on that list, Richie, your leading receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., 3 catches for 44 yards. I don't know if anybody saw post-game. Lena Washington, who works for 12 News, did a phenomenal interview with Marv, where he was clearly emotional. He's very, very upset. And Marv is like a pretty, not happy-go-lucky, but like he's normally like a smiley dude, very stoic at the minimum. He was
like his dad.
He was distraught after week 3, man. And given the opportunities that he had, I think it was very, very clear that he's kind of struggling right now, man. And that sucks to say because, he's had back-to-back weeks where he's had a ball go right through his hands for either lack of concentration or like whatever you might have it. But I don't want to speak on him personally, but like, do you think confidence might be a bit of an issue for him right now?
I'm not ready to go that far.
Okay.
I'm not ready to go that far, but I do think that there's potentially that thought in Marv's head of, why aren't things clicking yet?
Yeah.
So I have a year under my belt. I added all this mass. I dominated at the top level of college football. I play really good. Right. I play really good football players. We still just aren't there yet. And I don't think that that's a horrible thing for a very young football player to be figuring out. But there are massive expectations that came with the role that Marv was inheriting. And I think that Marv is, someone who is a professional, not just when it comes to the level of play, but also just in the way that he holds himself accountable. And I think there is a chance that he is starting to have those questions himself of like, okay, well, I got to get in the lab, but where am I going wrong? What are the things that I'm not doing to the best of my ability? And I think that's a possibility.
I would agree. I do think why I don't think it's necessarily a Marv confidence issue solely is because Richie, everybody else on the offense is having that exact same conversation with themselves.
Right.
Kyler Murray's doing it. The offensive line is doing it. The receivers room is doing it. The running backs room is doing it. Like the assistant coaches got to be doing it. Like everybody involved in that offense on a weekly basis is sitting there going, "What is the problem? What can we do to figure this out? Why? Why happening the way that they are?" So, like Marv isn't the only one contemplating that. It just sucks seeing him so distraught after that game
Yeah.
because like the work that he puts in. More than anything, Richie, he was labeled as a generational prospect because of his heritage, you know. And
I said he
I'm
was
not
regardless, but yes.
saying, well, I'm not saying I'm not one of those people where you're like, oh, well, if you swapped his name to Smith, would he still be a top? Yes, he would still be a top pick. Part of the allure with him was that he knows what it's like to be a pro. Richie, he handles himself like a pro. He talks to the media like a pro. He prepares like a pro. He knows what it's like to be a professional football player in the National Football League at a very, very young age. That's been very evident. I think that's why so many people were confident in him making that leap from year one to year two, is because he's got his head on his shoulders. He's a very talented kid, and the drive and the preparation to get better, which is what separates good from great in the NFL, it's there. It's there. You cannot guarantee it's going to pan out, but all of the intangibles are there. And that's why people were so confident, including me. So whenever Marv starts to dominate in training camp, I'm watching it with my own two eyes. I say, okay, he figured it out. The connection between K1 and Marv is still very much a work in progress, but whenever it comes to Marv himself, it looks like he's gotten it figured out a little bit better. But whenever it comes to actual football being played in the regular season against opponents who are game planning for you on a weekly basis, it just hasn't gone their way. It hasn't
Right.
gone their way, and I don't think it's Marvin Harrison Jr.'s fault. Does he need to come down with those catches we've talked about? 100%. 100%. Billing, like first round, seventh round, or whatever, you are placing that opportunity. You're staring at the ball. It's coming down to you. He just simply took his eyes off of it. It is what it is, but you need to come down with it.
Yeah. Let's get to the comments because I
Let's
am
do it.
seeing some ones that are making me ready to go to war once again for something that I was pretty loud about on the last podcast.
All right, let's pop. Alex says Gannon hears a noise too. He's frustrated, and I bet he didn't want to deal with 15 minutes of questions about play calling. Yeah,
Donnie,
Gannon.
leave the man
I
alone.
I love Gannon. Me and Gannon have a really good relationship, and
Ooh.
you can tell when he's not feeling it, he's not feeling it, man. Sometimes that could be a tough press conference room to be in for sure. Otto says, leave it to our OC to break Marvin. Eric says, Marv,
That's the first
100% is
one.
a confidence issue. He's still a kid and needs to mature. You want to touch on this really quick?
That's one that I'm going to bring up in a minute.
Okay,
So
cool.
there's
Darth
a few
Vader says,
comments.
Drew needs to quit using Dortch the way that he is. Angry emoji. Alex back in the comments says, I may be tinfoiling hating, but I wonder if the
Absolute
coaching staff
cinema.
is encouraging him to use his body because of the obsession with tight ends that's contributing to his awkward forearm chest catches. I will say, I'm not sure if that's one you wanted to touch on, Richie.
Oh, yeah.
He did body catch in college. That was a thing with him. Sean says every time we have an opportunity to go from average to great, Kyler does something stupid by turning the ball over or just not converting on key third downs. Kyler, dating back to post bye week last year, I would agree with this. However, in week 3, I don't think he was the problem. I think he put the ball where it needed to go. I would have liked to see Marv involved a little bit more early on because he's been so vocal about getting confidence and having the ball touch his hand early and often and building that. But and we keep talking about the same thing. If Zay Jones catches that ball, the Cardinals are 3-0, man. The margins are very, very fun. Darth Vader says, if you would have known what you know now, would you have taken Cam Scatterboo in round 3 or top of 4? Kid,
No,
absolutely not. The Cardinals had so many needs. If they took a running back with James Conner and Trey Benson in the fold, I would have lost my shit in that press conference. I would have flipped that freaking table over, man. Absolutely not. No.
Nope. Agreed. Okay. If you could pull up Alex's comment again for me.
The tinfoil one?
Yeah. Go ahead. Turn your volume down, everyone. I'm about to get loud. So, if you missed the last time me and Donnie were on this podcast, one of the things that I talked about is they want Marvin Harrison Jr. to fit their offense, not fit the offense around the strength of Marvin Harrison Jr. That's why last year they wanted Marv to be a deep ball guy. He's not a deep ball guy. That's why he looks as massive as he does. Not everyone plays better when they add as much mass as they do. Some guys, yeah, they strengthen up. And Donnie, something me and you talked about is you get to the next level, you are going to add mass. That's the way it is. But Marv has added so much to look the part of what Drew Petzing wants in him, not the way that Drew Petzing should be using Marvin Harrison Jr. So again, Marvin Harrison Jr. beats you in that intermediate game. He beats you as a route runner. He beats you as someone that is just able to find ways to get open. Last year, hey, take the top off the defense, just get open deep. Okay, that's not his game. Now it's this year. You're going to be a more physical receiver and find ways to separate that way. Okay, well, that's good if you want to introduce it to the rest of his game. But again, like what Alex is saying, and I will take that tinfoil hat with you. It truly is trying to turn Marvin Harrison Jr. into what the offense wants, rather than using a great weapon and getting the most out of the skill set that he has. Why are you forcing a round peg or a square peg into a round hole? It's not a surprise. This is one of those situations, and I hope it doesn't happen, where they end up going to a different team that does use them properly. And oh my God, look at that. They're every bit the great player we thought they were. This is the biggest issue that I have with the way that the Cardinals have been treating Marvin Harrison Jr. over the last 8 to 12 months. They're not looking to get the most out of him. They're looking to get the most out of him in terms of fitting their offense. You need to just find ways to adjust how you're working your offense to accommodate for the players you have. And it has not felt at any point in time like that is what they've been trying to do for Marvin Harrison Jr. I was very loud about this last time. So, yeah, I'm glad that Alex agrees with me, and I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to start saying that soon.
No, I would agree. I think that was the biggest thing is if you were going to take a receiver at number 4 instead of um, Joe Walt, like Otto is saying, that's not what I'm saying.
No. That's
The
not what I'm
the
saying either.
the issue is if you're going to add a guy like that and you're not even going to try to adapt to him and what he does well and make him a focal point of your offense, it can't be vice versa. You cannot expect a talent like that to come to Arizona and just say, okay, well, like this is how we do things. So like adapt. There's a coaching saying, Richie, that goes Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's. It's personnel over paper, essentially. I think the Cardinals have not done a good enough job, or even close enough, to getting Marvin Harrison, and like people are agreeing with you in the chat, Richie. Great job. Marvin Harrison Jr. He needs to be more of a priority, not only on Sunday, but Monday through Saturday too. What are we doing? You have a Maserati and you're just throwing the key out the garage. Why? What are we doing? Getting to the chat here. People just want to blame Kyler for everything. Kyler, unfortunately, that comes with playing the position and being a number one
That's just being
overall
a
pick.
quarterback, which is why me
Yeah.
and Donnie try to balance it. There's times where he definitely deserves the blame,
Oh,
but
for
there's
sure.
also times like what we're talking about right now where it's like, okay, well, this wasn't Kyler's fault,
No, not
but
at all. I try to look at things
I thought
subjectively.
that with the ball that got batted down on third down, I was like, oh, well, I can already hear people
Yep.
talking about Kyler's too short.
Here we go, man.
Dude, Nick Bosa tore his ACL.
Yep, done for the year, right?
I did not see the official news on that. That sucks.
Lil Jon's performing at halftime on Thursday Night Football, I believe. I think I just got the
Yeah.
I'm hyped for that. I can't lie, I'm pretty hyped for that. Dana knows ball in the chat. Shout out to you, Dana. The more I try to figure out the reads, routes, and timing they're executing compared to how I would draw up the same or similar play, the more confused I become. And I think this is where we have to remember Drew Petzing is very, very good at scheming runs. The passing game is a lot left to be desired. I think we just leave it at that. Sean says, I think it's time to start seeing Elijah Jones get some playing time. It seems like whenever Burke is in the game, he always has penalties. 5th round rookie, man, especially a guy like Burke, from everything I've seen on film, it's very boomer bust. It's very big play, breaking on routes and getting to the football and making a play on that, or he's just 5 yards behind this guy. It's very, very hit or miss. But I think the Cardinals being grabbing the secondary, that's a problem top to bottom in that room. Like Denzel Burke is
It's
not
a
the
young
only
room.
person there. It
It's a
is, and
young
like to be
room.
fair, like Elijah Jones 3rd round pick last year, people have wanted to see what he has, and I think Sean is maybe onto something in terms of maybe there might come a point where we have to see what Elijah Jones has. Richie getting some love in the chat.
Not from Donnie, that's for sure.
Dana says Kalen Richie's the end of his drops and waits because the play doesn't develop. The defensive movement he's waiting on to make the read and Peskin's offense isn't happening. Not until way late. I would have to look. But Dana watches more film than I do, so she's probably correct on that. Darth Vader says, do you think JG told Drew Petzing better figure it out, use what you've got, and that's why we didn't go get another wide receiver? I have a bit of a theory, Darth Vader, that because they were rumored to be in on a wideout early in the draft.
Did you want me and Alex's tinfoil hat for this?
Yeah, let me spit this. Now I'll swing it over to you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Better.
It's a little scratchy, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Something about water and frogs. I do think had Will Johnson not been there in the 2nd round, had he gone earlier, they might have gone receiver. They might have, because there were a couple guys they said they liked in the draft process. There were a couple reports by ESPN that suggested that receiver was very much in play on day 1 and day 2. It just didn't unfold that way. So.
Yeah, dude, we saw that nonstop.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. Otto says, can we expect the local media to hold Petzing's feet to the fire for his X's and O's over Jimmy's and Joe's? As a local media member, I think we need to have a bit of awareness in terms of what we ask coaches, because, and I'm really glad this was brought up. Whenever people are like, oh, like, this is a dumb question. This is, why would they ask that? How come they don't ask this, or that? I think the goal is to extract information from whoever we are talking to efficiently. You have to know how somebody's going to react to a question. And you have to know what they're going to want to talk about and what they're not going to talk about. Because Richie, if we're in a press conference, ASU, you are very well aware of this. If one dumb question gets asked, that ruins it for everybody else. And all of a sudden, the questions everybody else wants to ask doesn't get answered, or doesn't get answered to the point that we would like to. Interviewing,
just don't talk to Brian Kelly. Just don't talk to Brian Kelly. You're going to be fine.
It is such a skill that everybody needs to really master. And like, I'm trying to get a little bit better at it in terms of asking questions that pull valuable answers in press conferences,
right?
With Petzing, with JG, with players and stuff like that. But like, it's not as simple as just saying, hey, why do you guys suck? But it's so much more nuanced than that. Sean says, you guys think Kyler lacks some dog in him, considering Mac Jones led his team on one leg after throwing an interception. Why can't Kyler do that? I think Kyler wants to win more than anybody in that locker room, man. I think Kyler does have some dog in him. I think if you swapped Kyler and Mac Jones in that scenario, if Kyler had to lead the 49ers on a game-winning drive, I think the same thing would have happened. One, because we saw Kyler do it time and time again last year before
Kyler
the bye
had a lot
week.
of game-winning drives.
Yes. Kyler's proved it. And two, Mac Jones has Kyle Shanahan running the show for him. I do not want to discredit Mac Jones because Mac Jones did the damn thing, and I can't take that away from him. But it's very telling that you can go from Brock Purdy to Mac Jones, and things really don't change a whole bunch. I'm just saying.
Go from Jimmy Garoppolo to, oh God, I can't remember, but Brock Purdy was quarterback 4 the year that he broke out in the playoffs, and the 49ers just kept going. So that's just that's credit that needs to be attributed to Kyle Shanahan. Exactly.
Yep.
So that's tough.
Dana says people need to catch the ball. People need to block for the run. Those two things are improving that can be made by players right now to directly the offense and lead to points. And like, to be honest, my man, like Petzing has to take a lot of the fire and a lot of the blame. And I would agree with that. But at a certain point, like, guys got to do their jobs too, man. Guys really have to do their jobs too. They could have Tony Horton in the 5th round. Horton was a bit of a favorite by draft people. And then Alex says, can't force the answer you want out of anyone. You'll get coach speak and like it 90%, 80 of the time. That's why questions sound soft.
Yep.
Thank you. From another media member in the market. Thank you for shining some light on that. Otto says, what's more important, catering the offense to the player skills or pure offensive philosophy? It has to be a balance.
It does. So
it does, man.
If this is pertaining to what I was talking about earlier, the issue you have is when you are almost ignoring what the player does well and saying, this is it. You're asking a fish to fly, and the fish is going to spend its life feeling stupid because it can't. It's that old saying. I know I didn't say it correctly, but that's kind of what's going on with this is they haven't asked Marv to do what he's great at so far. And if they have, then they're not doing it enough. Because I feel like we get on this microphone every week, Donnie, and we're talking more often about what Marv didn't do or what Marv wasn't able to do rather than the opposite. But it does need to be a balance of what does the player do well? What does my scheme ask out of the players? And finding a way to incorporate it or find a good balance.
Big Red says coaching matters so much. Baker, Darnold, Daniel Jones, every quarterback for the Niners. Not sure how many more times this needs to happen before people realize that. Yeah. My question above is a question that's being asked to Drew.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully I gave you a decent answer, but I will give that to Donnie to ask to Drew. They don't like me.
They don't like anybody, man.
No.
Obviously, I love this game, but even with this game, there's some seriously perplexing calls, and like that's the thing. And like, this is just me sitting behind a computer watching the game. But there's times where like Drew Petzing's play calling is just like, you see some creative stuff happens. You're like, that's really cool. Like, that's such a unique wrinkle that like I don't think anybody would have been prepared for. And then there's other times where it almost becomes borderline predictable. And
right.
If people like you and I, Richie, can watch the game and kind of go, oh, okay, well, like here's probably what they're going to do. Imagine what defensive coordinators feel like. And maybe that's a problem. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. We need to get the show on the road, though.
Why don't you just tell me to kick rock next time, huh?
No. Talk about the James Conner injury. Done for the year. Right ankle surgery is coming. What a blow, dude. Yep. What a blow. I watched that live, and you just know sometimes when a guy's probably done playing football. And quite honestly, Richie, like this might be the last time we have seen James Conner in the Cardinals uniform.
I won't go that far, but I mean,
there's an out in his contract after this year that saves the Cardinals some money.
I thought you meant like him retiring. Gotcha.
No.
I mean, yeah, he's in his 30s, and it's a cutthroat business. It is a very unforgiving sport. So unfortunately, a lot of the time we have to separate our emotions from what we see on the field,
Mhm.
and we have to separate our love for certain players as fans and understand that tough decisions are going to be made. How many times have the people in this chat as Cardinal fans seen players they didn't want to leave, but then, Arizona found a way to move on. Like
Yeah.
it's just difficult choices that have to be made sometimes. And James Conner is a fan favorite, and James Conner, I think, has the potential to go up in the Ring of Honor. I don't know if he will, but he
I would
has that
agree.
chance, and he is certainly one of the most beloved players in the fan base. I would argue he's the best running back they've had in the last 15, maybe even 20 years, because they just have not had enough consistent rushing production since the turn of the century compared to what Connor had provided for them. So this is a really difficult loss.
Yeah, not only the fan base was he beloved, Richie, he was a team captain. He was voted a team captain by his peers, one of the most
Right.
beloved guys in the locker room. Every single person on that Cardinals sideline went out to him before he got on that cart and had to be carted off.
Right.
That's very, very telling. Everything we've seen guys talk about Connor after he exited, both like post game and a locker room, whatever it might be, it's just sucks. Like even Kyler, his post game presser, was distraught over it. Like that's more than just a teammate to those guys. Like that's a leader, that's a brother to a lot of people. And
Yep.
Richie, I did want to bring up because it could be his last year here. That very well could have. After this year,
Yeah.
there's an out on his contract according to Spot Track that they can cut him with only 2.2 million in dead cap accrued. Which is a little bit less than that $10.2 million cap that he's projected to have for 2026. Um, like you said, he's over the age of 30. Trey Benson, if he looks anything like people hope he does, the Cardinals have the next RB1 in waiting. People had projected that for Benson to take over Connor, maybe just not in the fashion that it's happened with.
Right.
So it's just very, very unfortunate. And Darth Vader brings up a good question. Who'd you like to see brought up to take that slot, Bam Knight or Michael Carter? Richie did a very, very good piece up on the Cardinals on
That's
SI,
me,
SI.com
by the
slash
way.
NFL slash Cardinals. I'll have to put that in the description where he went through different in-house options, different trade possibilities, different free agent possibilities. There's a lot of different avenues the Cardinals can go to replace James Conner.
Right.
I'll let you lead off with this, my man, because I think you know your answer.
So if we want to go out of house, I think I think my top option is some kind of bruiser, because we've got guys who can catch the football. One of the things that James Conner did well was punishing the defense. And Benson can put a shoulder down. DeMercado can put a shoulder down, believe it or not. But those aren't guys that I look at as like enforcing their will on guys the way that James Conner did, where he just wore you out. So there's a
Yep.
lot of guys on the market that I'm interested in. And of the few names that I was going through, one of the ones that stuck out the most is Deontay Foreman. And Foreman is just such an interesting guy. He was a second round pick at one point
Mm-hmm.
by the
Texas, right?
Houston Texans way back when. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it never really came to fruition for him. He certainly did not live up to it, but he still is playing. He played as early as last year with the Browns, I believe, and he just finds a way to produce unspectacularly.
Mhm.
He's a good, gritty, hard runner. He's done it with a plethora of teams. He's had fantasy relevance at certain times. Not that that matters, but Foreman is someone that I would be interested in. He'd be one of the first guys I make a call to. I know he wouldn't be super expensive, and unlike some of the other um, bruisers that are in the free agency market, he's got decent pass catching skills to him. So I would like that option. My second favorite option is Jamal Williams. That would be a good one for me. He was with Detroit. Jamal Williams walked so David Montgomery could run. I mean, all Jamal did was score touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then he went to New Orleans, and unfortunately, it just did not work out there. But those are the two guys that I'm calling. Are Foreman
Packers at one point.
And what's that?
Was
he started his career with the Packers.
That's right.
Him and Aaron Jones were the same draft class.
Yep.
So they nailed it. They went 2 for 2 at running back. Now Jamal did more with Detroit, but at the end of the day, still a hit. Still got a single.
For Darth Vader's specific question when it comes to Bam Knight and Michael Carter, I could see either or. There's arguments for either Knight or Carter to come up. Carter, I think, is just a very, very good pure runner, whereas Bam Knight might bring a little bit more of that like physicality to it. Knight, if you recall, had that like long ass run. I think it was against the Chiefs in preseason, which I feel like essentially like earned him that final roster spot because he was a surprise at like active roster guy initially on the 53.
Do you remember who we thought was a lock? DJ Dallas.
Oh, DJ Dallas. Yeah.
So, and I didn't talk about him because I just don't think that that's a spot that he would fill for the team right now. Also, Darth Vader, apologies. Reading comprehension apparently is not my strong suit because I thought you were asking besides those two. And now I'm reading your question and I'm like, yeah, I don't know where I thought that. So that's that good old-fashioned Arizona State, Mountain Ridge High School education there for you, man. I don't read. I watch.
Oh, Mountain Lions, baby. Sean says, do you guys think Thursday's a must-win considering how competitive this division is? I'm not ready to put the must-win label on it. And like, to be honest, man, like whenever I evaluate 2025, I do think winning the NFC West should be a goal. But I think the more attainable spot would be in the postseason. I think like wild card wise. I'm more so hoping for the Cardinals to sneak in as like a wild card. It's whatever. The NFC West is so tough. If they won it, awesome, cool. Home playoff game, love that. If they didn't, I wasn't sweating. I wasn't throwing things. I'm not in kind of that mentality. I mean, he says if you went to O'Connor, you wouldn't have that problem. Boom.
Yeah, that's great. Don't forget to pick up some crayons for your lunch tomorrow that I can pack for you.
Last James Conner will seemingly loom large, and it doesn't help they're coming onto a short week. Seattle Seahawks visiting on Thursday Night Football. And like we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, Richie, there's not a lot of wiggle room for them to install new things. So like Trey Benson's going to have to take a step up. Some other guys are going to have to take a step up underneath him. Is it Amari? Is it Bam Knight? Is it DeMercado? Like we'll see. We'll see. Dana says practice squad names to announce to me. Carson Steele, Kamani Vidal, Donovan Edwards that have to think more about fit. Yeah, absolutely. And then closing the show, Richie, sitting there watching the Jonathan Gannon post-game press conference. I didn't travel to San Francisco. Watching the live stream. And he makes a very interesting comment. When asked directly about the offensive play calling, which has been a very hot topic in the desert, as you know, Jonathan Gannon offered, quote, I have no problems with the offensive play calling. Never will. I know exactly what we're calling. So if you got a problem with that, you should look to me. And this pissed so many people off. So many. And like, if you're a fan, I get it. That's not what you want your head coach to say. That's not what I want to hear as a fan. I understand it. But like taking a step back and looking at it, just trying to be objective as possible, subjective, whatever you say it, works up. It would make no sense for Jonathan Gannon to stand over a microphone and blast either one of his coaches or his players. Nothing productive is going to come from that. Part of the gig of being a head coach is you take all of the absorption whenever you lose or something goes wrong. You take the blame. You wear that hat. That's part of the gig. Calling somebody out over a press conference instead of addressing it in a private meeting, that's exactly what Jonathan Gannon should have done. And I don't know why so many people have a problem with it.
Coach speak.
Yes.
You know what coach speak is, Donnie?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to give you a
week.
quote that you can't use because I'm going to take care of this behind the scenes.
Yep.
I'm not saying that Jonathan Gannon is the cussing and swearing type when it comes to having a conversation with his coordinators, but I can promise you he's having very different conversations with Drew Petzing than what he is implying when he's talking to us.
Yep.
Coach speak. They're not just going to tell you what you want to know because we know that TMZ is waiting out there to spin a story a certain way, and he's not going to do that.
No.
Because he's professional.
Otto says, I think JG did the right thing, but he needs to fix it behind the scenes. This is exactly
of course.
it. This is 100%
Get the back
what needs
scratcher
to
and just
Yep. So you say what you say over a microphone to people like me who are going to write about it, regardless of what you say, and then you go behind the scenes and you say, "All right, let's figure it out." It's exactly what you do. I didn't understand why so many people were that upset over what Gannon said. I know things need to change. Everybody's well aware of that. That's no secret.
Jonathan Gannon knows that.
And what really not rubbed me the wrong way, but people were like, "Oh, well, Bruce Arians held people accountable. Bruce Arians called people out over microphones." Jonathan
That's
Gannon
great.
is
That's
not Bruce
just
Arians.
not who he is. There
That's
you go.
never who Gannon is going to be. And also, if we're going along those Bruce Arians lines right now, Jonathan Gannon does not have the team that Bruce Arians did. Jonathan Gannon would be whooping ass right now if he had that 2015 Cardinals team. But he doesn't.
They wouldn't get crushed by the Panthers.
I would agree.
Yep.
If you fire Petzing, then what?
They have my application.
I want to wait. I get really good at college football. So maybe.
I saw there was an account on Twitter that was like, there's only 2 plays in the Cardinals playbook, and it was mesh and halfback dive. And I was like, that's literally my playbook. So back off because it works for me. Just because he can't make it work doesn't mean I won't be able to fix it, baby.
I can change her. I can fix her.
I can change her. I can fix her.
If you fire Petzing, then what? I want to wait until after the Seattle game to dive deep into this because I've thought about this very, very extensively. And I don't want to bring it up until it needs to become like an actual issue. And if Thursday goes like I think it's going to go, it might be an actual issue heading into the weekend. So I want to wait. But I will say the then what part of this conversation is preventing Drew Petzing's job from being actually in jeopardy at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just leave it at that. Mac Wilson had me so pumped. Same. I was fine. That was impressive. Getting on that 4th down where Wilson laid out Christian McCaffrey to force incompletion. And like, what a great goal line stand, by the way. Wilson had to fight against traffic to zoom over there and just land to McCaffrey. And like, Jones probably could have thrown that ball a little bit better, but dude, what a hit. Mac Wilson has been so good. Mike Jones. He's been so good for this team. So good, especially after losing Kaiser White, like a leader in that locker room. They needed somebody to step up in both of those facets, and he's easily done that.
Right. Nope. So he's played well for the most part.
Richie, do you have anything else to spew off before we get out of here?
I'm hungry, and I got to figure out what I want to do. I have frozen stuff. I got some leftovers. Or I just have another Dr. Pepper because this one's empty.
Jeez, man. I ate before we hopped on. I'm probably not going to eat again until dinner time.
There you go. I am going to steal some of Minnie's Kit Kats that she decided to leave. So, I've had these next to me for a little while waiting.
Give me a break of that.
Please hold. I'm trying not to swear while I open this. There we go. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks, Minnie.
You're welcome. All right, big dog. Let's get out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI podcast. Follow Richie on Twitter at RichieBrads36. Follow me on Twitter at Donnie Drew. And guys, thank you so much for all of the activity in the chat. We really do enjoy chopping it up with you guys. We will be back later this week, probably Friday, to recap the Cardinals Thursday night game against the Seattle Seahawks. Until then, we'll catch you guys. Be safe.